Welcome to session on name services. So name service is actually a distinct service that is used by client processes to obtain attributes such as addresses of resources or objects when given their names. So we'll have an introduction first, then we'll have some details about this name services and domain name system or DNS. In a distributed system, names are used to refer a wide variety of resources such as computers, services, remote objects and files, as well as users also. So a name is needed to request a computer system to act upon a specific resource. Just for example, a name in the form of a URL is needed to access a web page, or processors cannot share a particular resource unless they can name them consistently. Or users cannot communicate with one another unless they can name one another, just for example using email addresses. So names are necessary for communication in a distributed environment. And we can see some example for names here. So name is usually human readable value, usually string, and that can be resolved to an identifier or address. Just for example, internet domain name is an example like http:// etc. That is an example for name. File path name is an example here. /etc/password is another example for name. Or even process numbers are example for names. So names can be of two types, either pure names or non-pure names. Pure names in the sense they are simply uninterpreted bit patterns, whereas non-pure names contain information about the object that they name. In particular, they may contain information about the location of the object. So pure names, we cannot directly interpret anything from the name. Instead, we have to use some lookup to find the information in some table. Or in the other extreme, non-pure names, we will get some information like address or physical location of the object from the name itself. These addresses are efficient for accessing objects, but objects can sometimes be relocated, right? So the addresses are inadequate as a means of identification. So just for example, users' email addresses usually have to change when they move between organizations or move between internet service providers. They are not in themselves guaranteed to refer to a specific individual over time. Now we say a name is resolved when it is translated into data about the named resource or object, usually in order to invoke an action upon it. So the association between a name and an object is called binding. And this resolving of these names to its attributes and all is done by the name services. In general, names are bound to attributes of the named object rather than the implementation of the object themselves. An attribute is usually some property, the value of some property associated with an object. A key attribute of an entity that is usually relevant in a distributed environment is its address. So we can see an example for how these names are resolved gets attributes with an example. So using a URL here, we are trying to access a resource, typically a web page. So somewhere a web server will be there. Inside that we have the corresponding requested resources as a file and whose socket will be published. So we have to somehow get the IP address of the web server together with the socket address or port number using this URL. So as a first step, we will perform a DNS lookup. That is, using the domain name here, we will use the DNS server lookup to get the corresponding IP address of the machine. So from the IP address, we have to get the actual physical address or Ethernet address of the machine in which this file resides. So again, we have to perform an ARP lookup, that is address resolution protocol lookup, to get the Ethernet address from this IP address. So using that Ethernet address together with the port number, we can access the corresponding resource. The last part of this URL is resolved by the file system within this web server to locate the relevant file. Now coming to the name services in detail. A name service stores information about a collection of textual names in the form of bindings between the names and the attributes of the corresponding entity they denote, such as users, computers, services, etc. and this collection is often subdivided into one or more naming contexts. So these naming contexts are individual subsets of the bindings that are managed as a single unit. And the major operations for name service are or supported by this name services are to resolve name, that is the main service. In addition to that, a set of other operations like creating new bindings, deleting already existing bindings from the table, then listing bound names, adding and deleting contexts, etc. Namespaces. So namespace is actually a collection of all valid names recognized by a particular service. Just for example, all the URLs or URIs in the case of a DNS service can be treated as a namespace. So there should be some syntactic definition to separate valid names from invalid names. This, for example, this triple dot is not acceptable as the DNS name of a computer, whereas this www.cdk99.net is a valid ID. Like that, there should be some syntactic definitions. And aliases is another terminology used in namespace, and aliases are the two different names associated with the same entity. And these names may have some internal structure that represent their position in a hierarchical namespace, such as path names in a file name or in an organizational hierarchy such as internet domain names, or they may be chosen from a flat set of numeric or symbolic identifiers. So one of the important advantage of hierarchy is that it makes large namespaces more manageable. Just for example, paths and all in file name, right? Next is name resolution. As you know, name resolution is to retrieve the attributes of an object given the name, right? So it can be done in two different ways. One is iterative procedure and second one is recursive procedure. So we can say that name resolution is an iterative or recursive process whereby a name is repeatedly presented to some naming context in order to look up the attributes to which it refers. So a naming context either maps a given name onto a set of primitive attributes directly or maps it onto a further naming context and a derived name to be presented to that context. We can see an example for such a name resolution. So here a file name is given by specifying its path name, right? So in this case, first the etc is presented to the context / that is root, then the password is presented to the context / etc. Like that, a chain of context matching process is done to retrieve the name, to retrieve the attributes of a given object. So another example where this name resolution is done in an iterative nature is the case of aliases. Here two domain names represent the same domain. So in this case also we have to do this resolution in an iterative nature. For example, whenever a DNS server is asked to resolve an alias such as given in the first DNS name, then the server first resolves the alias to another domain name given by the second name, and then which is further resolved to produce an IP address. So in general, the use of aliases make it possible for cycles to be present in the namespace, and this will lead to a situation that may never terminate. So two possible solutions are there. One is to abandon a resolution process if it passes a threshold number of resolutions, and the second one is to leave the administrator to veto any aliases that would introduce cycles. So next is name servers and navigation. So as you know, any name service such as DNS that stores a very large database and is used by a large population will not store all of its data or all of its naming information on a single server computer, right? So if you are storing everything in a single computer, such a server would be a bottleneck and a critical point of failure. So any heavily used name service should be also do some replication also to achieve high availability. So and in the case of a DNS, it specifies that each subset of its database is replicated in at least two failure independent servers. This partitioning of data implies that the local name server cannot answer all the queries without the help of other name servers. For example, a name server in the domain dcs.qml.ac.uk domain would not be able to supply the IP address of a computer in the domain cs.purdue.edu unless it was cached, right? So the process of locating naming data from more than one name server in order to resolve a name is called navigation. And one navigation model supported by this DNS is iterative navigation. So in this case, to resolve a name, a client presents the name to the local name server which attempts to resolve it. So if the local name server has the name, it returns the result immediately. If it does not, it will suggest another server that will be able to help. So resolution proceeds at the new server with further navigation as necessary until the name is located or is discovered to be unbound. That's a normal case of iterative navigation. The NFS also employs iterative navigation in the resolution of a file name on a component by component basis. Just for example, you have seen earlier in case of NFS architecture that there we are using some symbolic links and all as part of the file name because we are not storing the entire information of a file if that file actually resides in some remote file system. Instead, we will store some link for that file, right? So in such cases, we have to do some iterative procedure to get the information. This figure also shows such an iterative navigation. So we have three different servers, NS1, NS2 and NS3, and client is provided with a name whose resolution has to be done. It first is given to this NS1 and NS1 don't have the corresponding information, and so it will provide the clue or the name of the server NS2. So the NS2 will be searched. Next, the complete information is there also not available. So NS3 is suggested and again NS3 will be searched to get the corresponding information. So this NFS employs iterative navigation in the resolution of a file name because of the presence of symbolic links inside the names, right? So a symbolic link must be interpreted in the client's file system namespace because it may point to a file in a directory stored at another server. So the client computer must determine which server this is because only the client knows its mount points, right? This is why it happens to be an iterative procedure. Each time this new server should be mapped or node server should be navigated by the client itself. So that is why shown figure that each time the new navigation is done by the client from the client itself. Okay. So this is called iterative navigation. So we can call this iterative navigation as client controlled navigation because each time each server is navigated by the client itself. Another alternative is there that is done by the server. The navigation will be done by the server. So we can call it as server controlled navigation. So we can see different alternatives for server controlled navigations. So DNS offers such an alternative. So two types are the recursive server controlled navigation and non-recursive server controlled navigation. In both non-recursive and recursive server controlled navigation, there will be one name server which coordinates the resolution of the name and passes the result back to the user agent. So here the navigation role is done by a particular server. That is why it is called server controlled navigation. So in case of non-recursive server controlled navigation, any name server may be chosen by the client. And this server communicates by multicast or iteratively with its peers, that is other servers. So just like a client in the case of client control method, this server, the name server selected by the client will take the charge of navigation. That is called a non-recursive version of server controlled navigation. Whereas in case of recursive server controlled navigation, the client once more contacts a single server. And if this server does not store the name, the server contacts a peer storing the largest prefix of the name. which in turn attempts to resolve it. And this procedure will continue recursively until the name is resolved. So the DNS offers recursive version of navigation. So we can see where it is actually used. Usually if a name service spans distinct administrative domains, the clients executing in one administrative domain may be prohibited from accessing name servers belonging to another such domain, right? So moreover, even same servers may be prohibited from discovering the disposition of naming data across name servers in another administrative domain. So in such cases, both client-controlled and non-recursive server-controlled navigations are inappropriate. Only the recursive version of server-controlled navigation must be used. So authorized name servers request name service data from designated name servers managed by different administrations, which return the attributes without revealing where the different parts of naming database are stored. So in such cases, we have to use the server controlled recursive version of navigation. So in this figure you can see example for both non-recursive server controlled navigation and also recursive server controlled navigation. So coming to the first case, that is non-recursive server control, the client sends the name to be searched or name to be looked up into the first server. So this NS1 is selected as the name server here by the client. Since the binding is not available within this NS1, it will just send the corresponding request to its peers, either multicast or in an iterative way. Here it is done in iterative way. So the first request will be sent to NS2, and since the binding is not available in NS2 also, it will just give the corresponding response to NS1, and NS1 in turn select another server to find the lookup. So here NS3 is selected. Since the binding is available inside NS3, the corresponding attribute will be returned by this NS3 into NS1. And this NS1 in turn will send the result back to the client. This is how the non-recursive version proceeds. Now coming to recursive server controlled system. So here the client sent a request to NS1 and the binding is not available with NS1. So NS1 will in turn select a server, and based on the criteria that it have the longest prefix match with the name to be looked up. So here it finds NS2 having the longest prefix match. So request will be sent to there also no binding for the corresponding matching is not available. So NS2 again repeat the same procedure. It will find a server with the longest prefix match. NS3 is the server here. And NS3 is having the corresponding matching name. So the corresponding attributes will be retrieved back to NS2. NS2 in turn return the result back to NS1, and finally NS1 to client. So here it is done in a recursive manner, and here it is done in an iterative manner, and both are controlled by server. Now the caching. So in DNS and other name services, client name resolution software and all the servers involved will maintain a cache of the results of previous name resolutions. So when a client requests a name lookup, the name resolution software consults its cache first. If it holds a recent result from a previous lookup for the same name, it returns it to the client. Otherwise, it sets about finding it from a server. And that server in turn may return the result or data cache from other servers already in it, or else it will invoke a procedure to resolve the name. So we can say that caching is key to name service performance. Thank you.